Deep beneath the surface of our modern world, buried under millions of years of rock and dust, lies a question that science dares only to whisper. What if we were not the first? This is the Silurian Hypothesis, a mind-bending thought experiment that asks a simple, yet profound question: if an advanced industrial civilization had risen and fallen millions of years before humanity ever walked the earth, would we even know it? Think about it. The geological record is vast, but it's also incredibly destructive. Our planet is a master of recycling. Over millions of years, mountains erode into sand, coastlines shift, and tectonic plates grind entire continents into oblivion. A city made of steel and concrete, as impressive as it seems to us, would vanish almost without a trace in just a few 100,000 years. In 10 million years, it would be nothing more than a thin, unusual layer of sediment. So, let's travel back in time, not just a few thousand years, but 60 million years. To the Paleocene, the age of dinosaurs is over, and the world is a hot, humid greenhouse. Lush, sprawling jungles cover the continents. New forms of life, the early mammals, are just beginning to find their footing. But imagine, for a moment, that something else walked among them. They weren't human. Maybe they were reptilian, or something completely alien to our understanding of biology. They built cities that gleamed with an unfamiliar symmetry, their towers of strange metals and crystalline structures rising beside warm, inland seas. They weren't just builders, they were thinkers. They studied the stars, charting constellations that have long since shifted. They harnessed the immense power of the planet's core, drawing energy from sources we can only dream of. Perhaps they even mastered genetics, crafting new life forms that served them, creatures that obeyed their thoughts and commands. For 1,000,000 years, they thrived. Their civilization spanned the globe. Then, they vanished. Why? Maybe they exhausted their resources. Maybe they triggered a climate catastrophe that spun out of their control. Or maybe they simply left, venturing out into the cosmos, leaving their cradle world behind. Whatever the reason, the Earth began its slow, relentless process of erasure. Oceans rose, swallowing their coastal cities. Erosion ground their monuments to dust. The very land they stood on was subducted back into the mantle. All that they built, all that they were, dissolved into myth, then into nothing, or so we think. The core of the Silurian Hypothesis, proposed by scientists Adam Frank and Gavin Schmidt, isn't that this definitely happened? It's that we should consider how we would even look for such a civilization. What kind of fingerprint would they leave behind? We can't search for a 1,000,000-year-old fossilized smartphone. The direct evidence would be gone. Instead, we have to look for indirect clues, or what scientists call technosignatures. Think about our own era, the Anthropocene. What geological mark are we making? We're burning fossil fuels at an incredible rate, releasing vast amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. This changes the isotopic balance of carbon in the air, in the oceans, and eventually, in the sedimentary rock. We've created novel materials that have never existed before: plastics, synthetic steroids, and complex industrial chemicals that will persist in the soil for ages. We've even left behind a radioactive signature from nuclear testing. If a previous civilization was industrial like ours, they might have left a similar set of clues. So, scientists look at the geological record for strange spikes, anomalies in the rock layers that don't quite fit with natural processes. When they drill ice cores or deep-sea sediment cores, they sometimes find abrupt changes in temperature, sudden spikes in carbon isotopes, or traces of unusual heavy metals. These events are often attributed to massive volcanic eruptions or asteroid impacts, but the Silurian Hypothesis forces us to ask, could some of them be the faint, chemical echo of a lost industrial age? Could that mysterious layer of ancient black shale be the fossilized pollution from their factories? Of course, distinguishing a natural event from an artificial one millions of years later is almost impossible. Any evidence is going to be subtle, ambiguous, and open to interpretation. But the lack of a smoking gun doesn't make the question any less fascinating. It forces us to confront the limitations of our own perspective. We tend to see history as a straight line, leading from single-celled organisms directly to us, as if we are the inevitable pinnacle of evil. But what if history is more like a loop? What if intelligent Thulacine species are not a one-time fluke, but a recurring phenomenon that the planet produces from time to time. What if civilizations rise, flourish, and then inevitably collapse? Each one erasing the traces of the last beneath oceans and continents reborn. This idea feels like science fiction, and in fact, that's where the name comes from. It's a nod to a classic Doctor Who episode from the 1970s, featuring an ancient race of intelligent reptiles called the Silurians, who went into hibernation to survive a geological catastrophe and awoke in the modern era to find their world taken over by these pesky apes called humans. But what started as a sci-fi concept has become a serious scientific thought experiment. It's a way of testing our detection methods for life on other planets. If we and even be sure we're the only technological species to have ever lived on Earth, how can we be confident in our ability to spot a civilization across the light years of space? The implications are humbling. It suggests that intelligence and technology are not a guarantee of permanence. Our towering skyscrapers, our global satellite network, our greatest artistic and scientific achievements, all of it is temporary. One day, it could all be ground back into anonymous sediment, just as theirs might have been. The rocks beneath our feet could be the foundations of their forgotten cities. The iron we mine could be the recycled rust of their vanished machines. Perhaps they left us warnings, messages hidden in plain sight, faint signals encoded in the junk DNA of life itself, geometric patterns etched into the crystal lattice of certain minerals, astronomical alignments that we dismiss as coincidence. Maybe the universal myths of creation, of great floods and fiery apocalypses, are not just stories. Maybe they are the deeply distorted, fragmented memories of their extinction, passed down through unimaginable eons of time, whispering a cautionary tale. The Silurian Hypothesis is more than just a search for aliens in our own backyard. It's a mirror. When we search for the traces of their potential climate change, we're really examining the legacy of our own. When we wonder how they might have fallen, we're forced to confront the vulnerabilities of our own civilization. It reminds us that we are not separate from the planet. We are a part of its deep, cyclical history. The Earth keeps its secrets well, but every strange isotope anomaly, every fossil that defies explanation, every tremor from the deep might be its way of reminding us of a profound possibility. You were not the first, and if you're not careful, you will not be the last. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the deep past, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you do. You won't miss our next exploration into the biggest questions of science and existence. See you next time.